I've learned a lot over the 4 decades of health and fitness and being in the trenches with the greatest in the world. And one of those things I've learned a lot more about and how to build better muscle is nutrition and how it has changed over the decades. And that's why I have the Titan meal plan for you guys out there that are confused about nutrition. I'm gonna set you straight. Get a hold of me today. The link will be in the comments down below for you guys. Everybody, get over to the Titan meal plan, and I'll see you in the Titan crew where I will fine tune any difficulties that you're having. I wanna jump back on the health.
Yeah.
And you getting your weight down now.
Yeah.
Because again, John over here is the CEO of Titan Medical.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've really jumped into, you have too, we jumped into really doing blood work and following it up, and making sure that
I
blood
get mine
work
done
is
every
good.
12 weeks.
Every 12 weeks, okay.
Every 12 weeks we make small changes. They finally put me back on TRT because my hemoglobin and hematocrit was low.
So the conversation happened first that the second doctor said, go check this out.
Go to a kidney doctor.
Okay.
The kidney doctor, he's kind of in a panic. I go to see a nephrologist, and he's like, he goes, they're like, this is actually interesting because most people that come in are super unhealthy, and you're not.
Right.
And I'm like, he goes, I honestly think 75% of this is genetic. I think you pushed it faster because of all the straining that you did.
Right.
But he's like, I don't see an alarm with the anabolics because you're still in high natural range.
Right.
Like you're not coming in with a 4,000 testosterone level.
Right.
I'm like 980. I'm like, you know what I mean? And so it's kind of like a big punch in the gut. And I run into Dr. Khan down at Cabo. He's at Swiss, and he's like, dude, we can go in through your femoral artery and inject stem cells right into your kidneys, which is what Bumstead had done.
It seems like a lot of people are doing that.
A lot of people are in chronic kidney disease and don't even know it.
No.
Stage 1,
No.
I guarantee majority of people that are out there
are on stage 1, which is below a 59 EGFR.
So
you're right around 40-ish.
once you hit 90, you're lower. Once you hit 60, you're lower. Once you hit 50, underneath 59, you better start being concerned. Because you know what? There ain't no coming back.
Yeah.
Once it's scarred and once it's damaged, you're at that level.
Yeah, you got to
Now, what do
maintain
you do
it.
to maintain?
Yeah.
And a lot of people out there, they don't control blood pressure. That's a problem. It's a
Yep.
direct effect on the kidneys.
So-
Sugar levels, direct effect
So
on
what
the
I was
kidneys.
finding out is naturally, even when I was a kid, my blood pressure was like 129 to 134 over like 80. Not crazy high, but high enough to where when you spike the out of it 4 times a week. I was in an experimental study with Ohio State with Dr. Kramer. They put a blood pressure monitor on me and had me squat 800, which was 30 pounds under the world record at the time. And the total numbers, top and bottom, was over 600. To strain that. And he's like, you've been doing that for how long? And I'm like, well, this is like year 24. And he's like, fuck.
So somebody with high blood pressure is just continuously damaging
It's a
it.
silent killer. That's what they call that. They call diabetes.
Because when you're strong and you're big and your blood pressure's slightly elevated, you actually feel better.
No, for sure.
Because you're moving more nutrients through your muscle, you're recovering faster,
Pumping.
you're pumping.
So what's a recommendation from you guys?
Recommendation for something like that would be one.
Let's get the blood work done.
Blood work's one, right? Because you can see everything that's going on. You can see guys out there that look like Ferraris on the inside of Pinto engines.
Yep.
You know,
So maintenance of hematocrit, hemoglobin, because as those rise, your blood's thicker.
Right.
And as it's thicker, it's harder to pump, and that makes your heart work harder. So if you're getting blood drawn, you might just need to be as simple as donating blood every 6 to 8 weeks.
So that's what we recommend every time. So I call it HRT maintenance. Got a video on it. I donate every two times a year. There's some people that may need to donate a little bit more. It just depends on the conversion of the hormones in their body. Some people are more, they convert a lot quicker. They can be on 200 milligrams. H&H, hemoglobin, hematocrit go up, red blood cell count goes up. It starts getting really thick, like sludge to the body, DVT, blood clot, stroke, huge high risk. And if you've already had these things, now you're at even higher risk.
Yep.
So it's something you really need to check on. And a lot of doctors out there that are in the business who are doing it, they don't do it. They check the initial blood test the one time, put you on treatment, and then a year later they're checking on you. Which in a year, a lot of things.
A lot could happen.
So you went, you saw the doctor, you went to the second doctor. He said, did he recommend the PRP into the stem cell into the?
He obviously as a American doctor can't really promote anything that's not FDA approved. But he's kind of like, look, there is data out there showing that this can help with some improvement. I think it's worth the risk. but you didn't hear that from me.
No, for sure.
And I'm like, okay.
I like Dr.
So,
Brown.
So when did this happen?
so this happened, and I had the actual stem cells in December.
When was the discussion of, hey, there's something going on here, let's start taking care of this?
August of 23.
23.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Which
then,
I just turned, I was almost 44.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
So you started at that point, what was the first step? Diet? What changed?
yeah, the big thing is like they wanted to drop my sodium. So I, being a follower of vertical, my sodium was high because when I sweat and I'm trying to perform, you want a higher sodium level because of the electrolyte properties. But as your kidneys start to get more and more pissed off, sodium can be not good. So they dropped me off, they got my potassium lower, and they started basically having me going from eating 5 times a day to 3. And then once I did that with a fairly clean diet, the weight just started ticking down. Because I was eating 5 times a day for 15 years. You know what I mean? Every 3-4 hours I was awake, eat something. You know what I mean? So that's when it kind of started. But you know, the process started. You remember first meeting me in like 08, 07, maybe even earlier. I was 310.
Yeah.
Then the next time you saw me, I was 295. And the next time you saw me, I was like 280. And I just kept getting leaner and more chiseled. But a lot of that was changing the diet process because I was a hard gainer as a kid. So although I was eating hard gainer when I was 240 as a junior, it took me 6 years to weigh 280 from there. Not like 6 months, like 6 years. And so with that hard gaining process, I had to put in foods that weren't the best.
If you are confused about training, do not worry. That's what the Titan training plan is for. For you guys to subscribe to this plan, you also get the additional coaching from me in the Titan private group. Get in there today, and I cannot wait to start working with you and making your dreams come true. Let's get back to the show. So we're jumping forward now. You got this, you brought your weight down. What do they see now with your numbers?
Well, now the numbers are stabilizing. We're not seeing dips. So Dr. Khan said the first thing you're going to see is everything normalizes. Then the stem cells should start to show improvement in about 6 months. And he goes, and if they don't, I'll redo it again.
Trust me, I've seen this treatment.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take my dad over. He's in stage 4.
Oh, okay.
So he's got that. He's getting a correctal cancer now. So
Yeah.
stage 3. So it's messed up. But really, really good things about the stem cells. But a lot of people, they have no idea what's going on with their kidneys. And they go to the general practitioner and they're like, yeah, everything's fine. You're just breaking out. You're lifting weights and all that. You might be dehydrated. All those could be factors.
This is a huge point, right? This is not, you go and you're seeing a doctor and you're doing your blood work and like you, they're over here and just go, everything looks pretty
Remember
decent.
too, though,
Out.
doctors across the country and the world, depending on when and where they went to school, is going to depend on, i.e., like if somebody went to med school 35 years ago, many times their knowledge is 35 years old. Because a lot of those guys get into a business practice, they don't have fucking time to keep learning more shit. But sometimes the new guys don't have enough experience to know when to stop.
I'll go back to say this again. I go to Titan Medical if you're going to do blood work.
Right.
Talk to Matt. Also, if you guys are training, you want to be strong, my recommendation is this man again. The knowledge. You got all. You got the book smarts. You got the degrees. You got the time. You got the in the trenches.
Yeah.
And you're a nice guy.
Well, the book.
Well, you're okay.
Well,
you're not great.
The book I just made is actually still sitting in Human Kinetics to be published, but we're working on that to be actually my PhD.
Very cool.
So University of Kansas is kind of hot on it. A couple other little universities, because I mean that was 400 pages with 1,500 references. Way harder than a dissertation.
What I love about you is there's a small few that I can talk to again about lifting that understand the operation of it at that level.
My whole thing was trying to learn. I wanted to understand why something fucking worked. I wasn't just, and again, this is for the audience, but I wasn't just in for the result. I wanted to know the whys. Why does this work? Why is this applicable now or maybe not for a beginner or intermediate? To me, I'm constantly running these scenarios in my head. And I train people that are from very beginners to highly advanced daily. So I know which ones can be used for which levels of training. And for most people watching this kind of stuff, are going to be the beginner intermediate type level. You know, and the thing of it is when you go and work at a fire department, like I'm in charge of 5 in the city, most of those guys may not think they are, but they're beginners. I mean, when I go into these fire departments, average deadlifts are under 225 with TFM, technical force maximum, which is, can they do it correctly? We got guys that can do more than that, but my goal is to lower injury rates. I'm not there to make them stronger, which we know lowers injury rates, but only when applied properly. So we're applying the load over many years. You have my belt squat. Those guys have to have those, and they have to do them for a whole year.
You knew that was his, right?
Straight bar.
Yeah, that was his.
Because
he designed this and made it and sent it to me.
I need one.
His belt squat.
I love it.
It's that time again to get my blood work done to see where my numbers are. Again, the one big thing for me is I'm keeping track of it. It's so precise. You know, I competed in bodybuilding and powerlifting and martial arts, but that was all over decades ago. And so how can I continue to keep this physique and be this strong at this stage? And so that is by optimizing my health with Titan Medical. It all stems from one thing: your blood work, what's going on inside of you. And that's the main thing that I'm focused about, is see how I can continue to not just be in the game. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a weekend warrior. I don't want to say you got a dad bod. I want to be the pinnacle of the health and fitness industry decades after I competed. And I've always said this too. You got so many of these guys that were with me in the 80s and 90s, and they keep putting the pictures up from the 80s and 90s. I don't want to be that guy. I like the fact that I can still put up pictures of me today, even though I won the universe back in the 90s. That's the goal for me. I don't know what your goal is, but I can tell you this. I know you want to live, and I know you want to live your best life. And that starts with blood work. Over at Titan Medical, start today.
So I had good manufacturing skills, and that's kind of what I thought I was going to do. I go do an internship at the Indianapolis Colts just on a whim, and I meet John Tsikouris. The guy was, you know, all the big stars from, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want your job." You know, being funny but not being funny. He's like, "Well, you can be a strong kid, but you got to be smart to do this. You got to have school." I'm thinking, you mean I got to go to college? You know, because this is pre-internet. I don't know. And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to have a master's degree to do this." Kind of wind out of my sails, and he's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm from Muncie." He goes, "Yeah, Ball State." And I'm like, "Yeah, Ball State. Who gives a You know what I mean? Because it's my home school." He goes, "That's the #1 exercise science program in the world right now."
That's where I went to college, Ball State.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, same.
From Northwest Indiana.
So
Chicago area.
99 to 06 is when I was there. So that's when Dr. Costa was still working, Kramer, all them guys.
I was there.
So basically, 4 out of the 7 founders of the NSCA were my professors. And they're handing me Tsikouris' books and all these books that Louie's talking about. And I'd come back home to Kramer after training at Louie's, like, "Man, we're doing this max effort work, this dynamic work." And he's fucking laughing. And I'm like, "What, man? This is like revolutionary." He goes, "The Russians were doing that 30 years ago." He opens up a book and he's showing me from Tsikouris, and it says dynamic effort method. It's like verbatim what Louie was saying. But I'm thinking it's Louie shit. I don't know. And then I start digging deeper and deeper.
Where did Louis learn most of his stuff? Was that also like a Arthur Jones kind of?
Bud Chariga was a guy that was a translator in Russian text from Michigan. And he was lifting in the 70s. And Louis, I would never say was like a world record holder, but he was a good lifter. Like, you go to a national meet, he would place in the top 3 or 5, you know. And he ends up running into Bud Chariga, and Bud Chariga had all these translated Russian manuals. So it's not that he created anything. He was just the first person to actually read something and then start actually applying it
and teaching
on a broad
it.
scale with 6 or 8, you know, convicted felons that were just out of jail. And he's like, "These guys are getting strong," you know. So that's how that kind of all started. And then, you know, Louis started writing articles for Powerlifting USA, and that created a riff around him. And that's what got me to drive from Muncie, Indiana to Columbus, Ohio 3-4 times a month from 1999 to 05. And then I graduate my master's and move over here full time.
I know you're a continuous student.
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple brothers that way. They're the 50s now, and there's continuous student, continuing to learn.
Well, on my Patreon channel, you know, where I initially made it to help kids that were, I consider kind of unfortunate. So I, more so 5 years ago or so, pre-COVID, I would train kids that had disabilities because I had a motor learning background from biomechanics. So if somebody had like a stroke or a cerebral palsy, I could make them better a little bit pretty fast because the parents don't know what to do with that shit. It's its own It's its own educational level. So, but a lot of the kids couldn't afford to come and see me. Well, you know, my gym's not free. Like, I got to pay rent. Like, it's not like I can just do this stuff on. So I'm like, well, what if I just, instead of people messaging me on Instagram, just create a Patreon channel where people just pay to ask me questions. And I'll show them workouts and what I post on my books there. So like, I'll post, I got 6 or 8 more books now after my book that I just made of all new sticky notes, all new references, and I just show them to people like, this is the main page you want to read, this is what you want to focus on, you know, so then people don't have to go and have a monster library of books. I mean, I like to have it, but they can read my notes in the books that I have hand selected for them to understand, which is a great idea.
That's pretty cool. They went through a highlight.
Yeah, if you guys at home want a good trainer, somebody that really understands this and can break it down for you too, head on over to see Matt Wenning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this though, real quick. I'm sorry to say this. So out of you, me, and Heath's the heaviest, then me, then you now.
Yeah.
That really changed. I know. Heath is the big guy out of the 3 of us.
What does he weigh now?
275, 280. He's always.
Well, he's a freak.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
So how much did your last name help you become a champion?
Not any.
No, didn't factor into your mind
No, I
at
think
all?
the E f***ed it all up. If it was an
because
I.
it's spelled differently.
Yeah, if it was an I, it would have probably helped a little bit.
All right.
Oh, man.
I love it, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, no
today.
problem, man. Nice
love
meeting you.
Dude, really nice meeting you.
His gym is
Awesome,
like
dude.
5 minutes from here.
Really?
And
Yeah,
again,
4 blocks.
You guys will see at the house at the Titan Castle the belt squat. And it is, I love it. And you know what I love about it is because of his engineering and everything like that, it is verbatim a transfer. If
Yeah,
it's
if you do
135, it's 135.
If you do it with no hands, it weighs what a competition squat bar weighs, which is 55 pounds. Every plate you add on it, if you can do it no-handed, it's about a 1-to-1 ratio to a regular back squat, barring
So-
that your back can hold it.
No, well, it's
So-
cool because of the fact that I got a whole bunch of snowflakes like Steve Siegel and Heath and these guys that will do like the shark, the pin shark.
Right, which
It's
has
just-
no bearing.
It's like you do 12 plates on there. Look at me, I'm strong.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
The first
Relax.
time I touched a pit shark, I saw it at the NSCA headquarters in Colorado Springs. Like, hey, we got a belt squat. I'm like, oh, cool. I do 1,000 for 10.
Yeah, it's like.
Now I'm a strong motherfucker, but I ain't doing no 1,000 for 10. You know what I mean?
So check him out, and he's got some other equipment there too. And like Jeffrey was saying here, you got a hyperextension good morning machine. Is that right?
Yeah, good morning machine, competition bench. We built a handful of custom stuff.
Your competition bed is pretty thick.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the nice thing about it is you can pull the pads and we can make any pad you want and it goes on in 45 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And it's machine grade, so it's locked.
See,
So it
other
doesn't
things
have any.
go on and off in 45 seconds, Mo. Not just me. Yeah. So that's it, guys. Thank you for hanging out today, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, man, anytime.
Dude,
Anytime.
pleasure, man.
Good seeing you, homeboy.
Yes, sir.
Super